Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. It's the last day of the month, so let's make something for Halloween. I'm going to be using some new to me products from Trinity Stamps. I'm using the pumpkin shaped card die set and the Simply Sentimental Halloween stamps and dies. I'm going to do all of my die cutting off camera. So here we have the card base. It's cut out of some sturdy white cardstock. And I've cut the pumpkin out of some Flamingo cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. And then I've done some details out of Pashmina, Pitch Black, and not Flamingo, Bubblegum. The darker pink is Bubblegum. Now, I probably should have Googled or watched a video or even just go to the Trinity Stamps website on what this die looks like put together, because I am not going to put it together as it's intended, and that's okay. It still turns out really cute, but I messed up. So I started with die cutting my pink pumpkin and I glued it right to the card base, which was one, I should have done some more die cutting. You can see I did use the little border die to create the like cut line when you cut open a pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern. But what I did not realize is that you're also supposed to cut out the solid eyes, nose, and mouth from this piece as well. And I'm going to show you an example in a little bit from the ever so talented Carrie Rhodes. But I also forgot to ink blend on the edges of my die cut. I wanted to give it a little bit of depth, so I'm going to use the negative or extra piece that I die cut the pumpkin out of, which I think was pretty resourceful. I'm pretty happy that I didn't just immediately toss it. But I am using my brand new little shading sidekick blending brush from Trinity Stamps. So I went around all of the edges of my pumpkin, again using that negative piece as a mask. And then I'm also using it to mask a little bit on the like rounded details of the pumpkin. I wanted to add a little bit of shadow as well to some of the more detailed lines of the pumpkin. And then I will distress the edges of the top of the pumpkin, that little bit there, since I remember to do that before gluing it in place. So I'll use my liquid glue. I'm using my glue press to glue that little piece right onto the card base as well. I love that there's like a bit of a white border around the pumpkin. I am a huge fan of a thin border around my panels on my cards, so loving that there's just a little bit extra around the pumpkin. And I could have die cut it out of black or something fun, but I went with the classic white border. For the stem of the pumpkin, I die cut it out of Pashmina, so like a gray cardstock, and I'm bringing in pumice stone and another shading sidekick to add in a little bit of gray distress to that piece. And just like the pumpkin pieces, I'm going to use my glue and just glue that right in place. So again, I am going to do this not as intended as the die was intended, and I actually cut out a lot of time where I was just trying to figure out how the heck the black and my dark pink pieces fit together, because it just didn't make sense and I couldn't understand why nothing was lining up correctly. So let me show you right here Carrie Rhodes pumpkin shaker, and you can see that she die cut the mouth, like the solid mouth that I die cut out of black, as well as the eyes and the nose. She die cut them through the pink pumpkin, just like I did my little cut line for the jack-o'-lantern. And you layer underneath the what is my dark pink pieces. So the struggle that I'm having trying to understand how the pink pieces fit around the black is because these aren't supposed to be die cut from black. I mean, you can and then like layer them behind, but they're actually supposed to cut the black pieces that I've die cut straight out of the pumpkin itself. But you know what? Lessons have been learned. I think this pink pumpkin is still pretty dang cute, and I'm okay with it. Maybe I'll make more of these in the future, and I'll make them correctly, and I'll just post pictures of them on my Instagram or whatever, rather than make a whole other video. But who knows? Maybe I'll make another video. Let's pick a different color pumpkin, and maybe for Halloween in August, we'll do it again. But anyway, I'm gonna keep on doing my best to layer the dark pink over the black. I was genuinely so confused. I was like, how on earth is the example picture so perfect and mine is not? I was really, really confused. So let this be a lesson. Don't follow what I do in the video. Do as I say, not as I do, as my mom would say to me. Um, I think again, it looks fine. It looks cute, but if you want to do it correctly, you need to die cut out of the pumpkin itself and then layer those shadow pieces underneath the pumpkin. You can still glue the black pieces like directly to the card base and then layer and then pop up the pumpkin. I think that'd be really cute too. I've already decided, another video will come out soon. I don't know when, but I will do this again correctly. So tune in again, come back to see that in a fixed video. But again, I didn't realize this until I was putting together my supply list and saw Carrie's pumpkin and I was like, oh my God, of course, that makes so much more sense than how I was doing it. But I still think she's cute. She's just, got some heavy eyeshadow and lipstick on, that's all. So after I finished gluing all the pieces in place where I wanted them on my jack-o'-lantern, I grabbed some pearl color pigment watercolor and I'm going to use the pink color and I'm going to splatter it all over my pumpkin. I was trying to block the stem, but I thought, you know what? It could use some little pink splatter as well. So I decided to let the splatter hit the stem. I let it hit the edges of the white card. I just let it splatter wherever it wanted to. I thought it would, just kind of spice up the card a little. I think it adds some fun shine. And I don't know how to make a card without shine for the most part. So she's cute and I like it. For the sentiment, I'm going to do a combination of die cutting and stamping from the Simply Sentimental Halloween sets. I have a piece of that same dark pink cardstock and I'm going to use one of the more scripty Halloween fonts, but I'm going to make a sticker out of it. So I grabbed my ribbon stick sheets from Trinity Stamps and I'm trimming down a piece to fit behind the pink cardstock that I cut down to fit that scripty die. So I'll go ahead and peel off one side of the sheet and then add it to the pink cardstock. It was a little big, so I'm just going to trim off a teeny tiny bit so the glue doesn't get stuck to my die cutting machine plates. And I'll go ahead and run that through my die cut machine. I used a piece of mint tape from scrapbook.com just to help keep that in place while it ran through. And like I said, have created a sticker. So I'm going to put it on the inside of my card and I'm actually going to grab my pickup stick tool from Trinity Stamps, which is one of the best on the market. I don't use it as often as I should, and Tanisa, the owner of Trinity Stamps, gave me an earful lovingly. I'm joking if she watches this. She really didn't give me an earful, but I don't use it as much as I should. So I'm using it today and it's on my desk, prime and centered, so you'll see it coming again in my videos. And I'm going to use my die to press in my sticker. So I poked out all of the little inside pieces of the loop-de-loops of my sentiments, like the inside of the L, and then I'm using the pokey tool to press any of those pieces where it's the word itself and not the center parts of loop-de-loops to press my sentiment onto my card. And then I'm going to lift up my die. It did pick up the sentiment a teeny tiny bit, but for the most part, it's stuck there and it's right exactly where I wanted it. I used my Cardmaker's T-square in the A2 size to make sure that looked centered. And then I have a Spooktacular from the stamp set and put that on a clear block and use some black ink to stamp that above the Halloween die cut. And that will finish off this pumpkin card. I think the pinks are so cute. I love pink for Halloween, like pink, black, and gray bring me so much joy for Halloween, especially with a little bit of kind of pastel purple and teal. Maybe that's what I'll do for my next pumpkin where I make it correctly. But here's a close-up look at how my pumpkin turned out. I still think she looks cute. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Bye.